remember the show about a little alien named Zim who came from the Irken planet going towards planet Earth to actually invade and terrorize it? But on the way, he found many things that got in his way. Well, if you remember that show, you guys remember Invader Zim. And alrighty, guys, it is Qaaman here today, bringing you another Remember podcast with both Duct Tape and Out Jax Blade, as we'll be talking about one of the more nostalgic shows of our childhood that came on Nickelodeon in Invader Zim. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. And Jordan, why don't you open up by telling us your memories of this Invader Zim show?
Okay, first off, I want to just say this. Invader Zim is without a doubt one of the funniest shows I've ever seen in my life. Like, there were times I was worried I was going to die of asphyxiation because this show is just so freaking funny. Okay, first off, the show is about Zim, who basically gets banned from his planet. Like, he's one of these, basically, think of this planet like Saints. This is a Dragon Ball Z channel. Like, think of this planet like they have these people who go out and conquer other worlds for these people called the tallest, which are basically their leaders, and they're just taller than everyone of the Irken Empire. What they do is they just go and they conquer planets with their little robot friends. And Zim apparently was so bad at conquering, or so good in his mind, that like these guys are just like, okay, we got to get rid of this guy. He is just messing up everything, and we keep trying to ban him, but he keeps finding a way to come back. So like what they do is they basically say, oh, there's a place called Earth. It's like this many light years away. Oh, he should be dead before he reaches there. We'll send you here with this little mentally handicapped robot, and you go have fun. And his robot's supposed to be it's supposed to be one of the most high-tech thing. Yeah, of course. I know Gur, but I was saying, like, the robots are supposed to be of the most high-tech qualities, and they're trying to make it seem like, oh, these things are so perfect and help the people destroy planets. But they literally just decided, oh, there's a robot casing. Let's throw a gumball and a rubber band in there for its brain, and then he becomes easily one of the funniest characters. Like, if you are a fan of Hot Topic, like, he is the thing you'll see everywhere. Just Gur is like the breakout character of this show. And so they get sent to Earth, and Zim tries to fit into this planet so he can conquer it, and the tallest are just like, oh, I can't believe he actually survived, but we'll just engage him every now and then, but we don't really care. And from there on, he meets a bunch of characters that we think are hilarious, like Dib, the paranormal investigator, who's the only one who can see Zim as a freaking human. And what I love about this show is it has so many effed up moments in it. Like, you think, oh, this is like a kid's show, but there are some episodes that are just like, that's not kiddie at all. So it's funny. But what about you guys? What do you think of it?
Duct Tape.
I loved that show so much, especially that episode with the piggies.
Oh, yes.
That was so messed up. He was out to kill Dib, like actually kill him.
Oh my god, it was hilarious.
And the best part is that, like, towards the end, he's just throwing a bunch of pigs through the time portal, and it's actually making the situation worse. Like, Dib actually died and came back as a cyborg.
His dad rebuilt him.
Yeah.
And then the funny thing is, for those of you who don't know the context of the episode, it was pretty much more of a time constraint based episode, kind of doing time travel, which is why I like it a lot. And pretty much what happens in it is Zim tries to stop Dib in a way, and for those of you who don't know, Dib is pretty much like the complete antagonist of the story, but in a
big head boy,
which is a really weird thing, because I'll talk about this more later. But the funny thing about Dib is that although he's looked at as the antagonist, if you look at the show from a general point of view, he's actually the hero of the show, and Zim is actually the evil guy. But the funny thing about it is that Zim's trying to stop him, and he keeps going back in history to, like, throw these pigs at him, which is going to cause him more injuries, and he keeps getting more weakened and weakened. Then at some point he kills him, but then his father rebuilds him. And the crazy thing is not only does Dib get into, like, this super powerful robot, but Zim is, like, having no ability to stop him, and the only way Zim can stop him is if Zig uses his last pig to tell himself in the past not to injure Dib and cause all of this ruckus, because if it were to continue happening, everything would die. I thought that was a great episode. That was actually my favorite episode in the series too. Duct Tape, I actually recommended me to watch that one when I was rewatching a lot of these episodes. And the funny thing about, Invader Zim, guys, is that there's a lot of stuff to talk about. So Jordan was already talking about the whole concept of racism. And the interesting thing about it is that the way it's kind of looked at, there's a lot of hidden messages. In Zim, the tallest are kind of like racist to like everybody else. And it's kind of weird. It's like, because they're taller than everybody else, similar to how like in society, I'm not going to make this into a race conversation, but a certain group of people, may have some advantages or not, depending on where you live. That's kind of how it was like. It's like, just because they're tall, they're pretty much bossing over all of the other aliens. And the show also had like a huge conceptual concept of like actually showing worship, and Duct Tape, you showed me the Christmas special episode, which was really interesting because it's pretty much showing you how like the humans were like so willing to worship a real life Santa that Zim was pretty much disguising himself as. And then eventually, when that didn't fail, Zim pretty much disguised himself as like the Easter platypus, which was crazy. And it's like, and right after the Santa, like everybody started like worshiping, the Easter platypus too. So I really like some of those hidden, deeper themes that silly show had.
Agreed.
But other than Gur, what were your guys' favorite characters?
I love Gaz.
Yes.
Gaz was just like Gaz. I love Gaz because she was just like, okay, she was just like the antithesis of Dib. Like she's just a girl who's pretty cool. Like I actually loved Gaz when I was a little kid. Like I thought she was one of my favorites. If I had to pick my favorite characters, it'd be like Gur, of course, and then Gaz, and then Zim, because they all cracked me up. But like Gaz just had this "don't F with me" attitude. Like I don't care what the hell this is all. I want to have pizza. I will have pizza. I want to play this video game. And the fact that you stole it. Yes, exactly. If you stole this, yeah, exactly. I love. She becomes like this omnipotent god demon if you mess with her, like in some ways. And it's just like I love her character because she's just like got this massive "don't F with me," but it's so funny to like see her. Like she will have these moments where she'll like have these cutesy girl eyes, which is funny because Gaz's eyes are like she's like Bulma's mother, like constantly closed all the time.
Gosh.
Yeah, exact. No, not bro. Bulma's mother,
Panty
like
her
whatever.
Panty.
Yeah. Panty. She has these eyes that just are always closed, but sometimes she'll see something so awesome, whether it be like a video game or new food or something like that, and she'll just be like, ooh, and her eyes like turn into these really cutesy girly eyes, and it's just so adorable that this vicious evil character would do that. So I love seeing her in this. But what about you guys?
She kind of reminded me a lot like Mandy from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, and we're gonna we're gonna do a podcast very, very, very soon about that. Very, very soon, guys. Like you were saying before, the whole episode about Game Slayer 2. There's this poor kid. For those of you who might not remember, there was this kid who they all went to like get like a new video game system, and this kid got it before her, and she was so determined.
It wasn't a poor kid.
Yeah.
Dude, he was an a-hole. That kid was straight up asshole. It wasn't no poor kid. You're making it seem like, he was this poor
He screwed her over.
Well, I mean, he looked like a poor kid once she was done with his ass. But what I'm saying, like this kid was like, he wanted to have his game, and he was so terrified. Like he had, like she said, like there was a point when he was like in his bathroom using it, and then like on the wall and like, give me that damn game or something like that. And then she was in the window. He's like, how the hell did you write it on him when you're out there? And like she just kept following him. The girl was following him through elevators. He was hiding in closets. She just didn't give up, and it was like she was that determined. And he was like at the end of it, like, fuck this shit. You win. You get this damn system.
Quinn.
Well, it was Iggins. Well, first off, let me say this about the freaking Iggins, okay? How would y'all feel if you, like, okay, we're waiting for your, like, you just got a PlayStation 4, right? And then, like, someone goes in there and is like, oh, yeah, well, the last one's on layaway for so-and-so. Oh, well, that's who I am. And then someone just takes your freaking thing. At that point, I'm just like, man, fuck you, Iggins. I don't give a fuck. Mandy, torch this motherfucker.
Quinn, remember Ruckus's grandmother?
Yeah.
She was like, we could both die in here tonight. That's the first thing I thought in that elevator.
Yo,
As soon as she broke the paddle, I'm like, she is so serious about this.
she was a kid. But what about you, Clay? In terms
I
of
like
your favorite
Dib.
character. What is it?
Yes,
Okay, now we didn't talk a lot about Dib so far. So Duct Tape, tell us all about Dib and like inform the audience of what you remember about him, because like Dib is a very, very, very important character to the show.
He's a funny one.
He's the one human that can actually see Zim for what he is. The bad part is he's so bad at what he does. He's so terrible, but he's saved by the fact that Zim is also terrible at what he does. So the two of them just play off of each other while the world just passes by.
Yeah, this is so funny because like freaking Dib, he has like these episodes where like, okay, some episodes Zim doesn't even show up in. Like, okay, this is my personal favorite episode of the show just because I kept laughing at it because Dib plays the straight man in the series. Like he'll be like, look, I don't understand why you guys are acting like this when this is happening. So like there was an episode where he was trying to find out the legend of this guy Chickenfoot, and for those who haven't seen that, so like he basically, there was this guy who used to work at a chicken store like KFC or Popeyes, and what happened was he put metal in the microwave and it exploded, and then when it exploded it gave him a seizure and it made him think that he became part man part chicken when he actually just got stuck in the suit, and it wasn't even stuck in the suit. And so everyone's trying to say that Chickenfoot is real like Bigfoot, and Dib is the only one like, guys, you see it's a suit. Like, does no one else see it's a suit? And he's trying to be the straight man, and Chickenfoot's just like, I was just a man just like you. I worked in the chicken shop just like you. I don't work in the shop. Don't look at me. It's just like, what? I didn't. What are you talking? And then like he takes him to the hospital, and the doctor is so stupid.
She did an X-ray.
He did a fucking X-ray, and so he's like, look, you're not a chicken man. And so he starts freaking out. And so they have to chase him down the hallway, and then they like take him out of his suit, and he's you know what? It's one of those episodes. I won't spoil it. Just go type in the sad tale of Chickenfoot after listening to this podcast. This shit was funny.
The best part, she's like, this is your head, and this is your head looking through the mouth of the chicken suit. Do you get it now?
Yeah, you know,
he's like, you people are torturing me.
That episode was my favorite episode. I cry. I literally couldn't breathe the first time I saw it. I was like 11, and I was like laughing so hard. My mom thought there was something wrong with me because I rewatched episodes so many times.
My favorite part of that episode was when Dib walks into that chicken restaurant, and some random dude is there yelling, "I want my slaw!" And the manager's like, "You have your slaw, sir." Like they're yelling in the background, and he's just there like, who are these people?
And then he's like, I love that guy. He was just nuts because there's a person working at the chicken store, people, and he tells the origin of Chickenfoot, and he's just like, hey Dib, we don't speak about that one over here. Hey, can I interest you in some chicken? Are you thirsty for chicken? And Dib is just like, I want facts, and he's like, don't hurt me.
He's like, come with me to the freezer. I'm like, Zim and Dib, watch out. He's gonna eat you.
He's gonna do something inappropriate.
Dib was a beast, man. Like I still remember like the very first episode of Invader Zim where like they're all like sitting in a classroom right after, you know, Zim built his house. And like everybody's, you know, just talking to school. And what was the name of that creepy teacher they had again?
Miss Bitters.
Miss Bitters. There we go.
Bitters.
I remember like the first episode with like Invader Zim. It was crazy because like, you know, Miss Bitters is, you know, just teaching in class and like everybody's just doing what they're doing. And then she's pretty much talking about how like, you know, the universe is gonna implode and then there's gonna be like this big like catastrophe in the future. And Zim is asking her, the teacher, because he's a new student, he's like, interesting, you're talking about implosion. So, Miss Bitters, by any chance, do you think at some point that the aliens from outer space are going to make this planet very easily to conquer? And she's like, And then she just keeps teaching. And the funny thing is that then you see like Debbie's going crazy. And Deb is like, am I the only nigga in this class who realizes that there's an alien in here?
No, Quinn. The best, you guys missed it. The best
old
one. No, at the end, the final episode, Sizzlor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
In the middle of the classroom. Yeah, he busts through the roof and grabs Zim and carries him off. And Dib's like, did anyone else see that?
And then there's like, and then there was like that piece of bird poop. That piece of bird poop like fell on Dib, and then they just started laughing at him. And it's like they completely forgot what the hell they just saw. They literally just saw an alien grab another alien, take him out of the classroom, but because there was bird shit on his fucking shoulder, they completely
they took him out of the classroom twice.
Yes, but they did that a lot. Like Dib. I mean, some stuff he did was just like, okay, you're a bit of a douchebag. Like, there was like that whole, you remember the moose? The freaking thing with the moose?
The
room like,
with the moose?
Yes, it was just like, you guys are begging to face the moose. And he was like trying to warn all the other kids because Zim was trying to, I literally just watched this episode. It was like,
send them through a wormhole to a room with a moose.
Exactly. And so like the way they had to fix it was that, everyone didn't want to sit on the same side as Dib, like of the bus as Dib. Like, think of the left side of the bus just being full of kids, and then the right side was just Dib by himself. And so Dib had to like move over to that side, and all the other kids were like, "Oh, we don't want to sit next to this freak." And so they move over. And you know what's funny is they always make fun of Dib's head. When they all have the same size head. Exactly. Like, they always say, that big head kid, like, what's up with his head? It's just like, it's just so stupid.
It's crazy. What do you guys think about Professor Membrane?
He was amazing. Toast!
I made super toast.
Well, yeah. But I mean, ultimately, guys, I mean, we're getting near the end of this podcast, so let's wrap up some things here. So, ultimately, though, man, like, I think that when you look at Invader Zim, I think if you tune your brain off and you don't want to take it seriously, like how Gaz could like go from one part of the earth to the other to save her brother in like the Arctic in like 2 seconds with his own ship, like if you think about it like that, like if you tune your brain off sometimes and just have fun with the show, I think the show really holds up. What about you guys?
Yeah. I agree. Like, I think the show, like, though I will warn you, some episodes are very dark. Like, there was this one episode where Zim decided he needed organs to be more human, and he started taking organs from other people in like the school, and like it was a very dark and disturbing episode in the way it played out. I mean, it was still funny, but still it was just very disturbing. And then another thing, I would just say, like, Gur, we didn't talk about him that much because we really don't need to say much about Gur. Like, he's just a lovable, goofy robot. Out of all the like dumb sidekick characters and shows, like, Gur is probably my favorite. Like, if you had to go between Gur, Fred Burger from Billy and Mandy, and Cheese from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Gur wins all the time. I would go get tacos with Gur. I would go eat burritos, pizza, whatever. Like, I think spending a week with Gur would be hilarious. I mean, after a while we would go insane, but still it'd just be so much fun hanging with that adorable little robot.
Yeah. And you, Duct Tape, how well do you think it holds up?
I rewatched it before watching this podcast, and I laughed just as hard as I did when I originally watched it. The comedy holds up really well.
Yeah. I mean, so ultimately, guys, the last thing I think we need to talk about is something that Duct Tape found online, where he pretty much talked about why the show was canceled. It only lasted 45 episodes. Duct Tape, you want to elaborate on that?
There were a few rumors on why it was canceled, ranging. The first was because of a bloody Gur.
Yeah, bloody Gur.
Yeah, that's one of the coolest pictures ever, but like, apparently that artist was warned not to do it, and like, he did it again anyway. But then there was also because it had high production costs, and the last one was because it didn't fit Nick's age group, so they tossed it. In March 2010, episodes of Invader Zim were aired on Nicktoons, and the reruns were actually second highest on the network. but according to the creator, it was kind of to see if the show could be revived. And he also said that despite that, he would have returned to the show again had Nick not deemed the revival too expensive.
Yeah. You want to talk
Yeah.
about that a
Well-
little bit, bro?
Well, I know the bloody Gur thing. Well, because like for people who don't know, I can never pronounce the dude's name right. Mr. Vasquez. Let's just call him Mr. Vasquez, whatever. He has this little comic called Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, which is just like about a serial killer who goes out killing people in various bloody and gory ways. So some of the stuff he would try to put in Zim, it's funny that we're getting TVMA Samurai Jack this year when like if we had a TVMA like Invader Zim, I could only fathom what that would be like. So it's one of those type of deals where the show was just really pushing the line. I mean, Ren and Stimpy pushed the line a lot for Nickelodeon, but this is just, and this isn't as bad as Ren and Stimpy in that aspect, but there were a lot of like, I'm not sure that should be for little kids, or I'm not sure for that.
Guys, I think that pretty much concludes our podcast for today. This has been a nice long discussion about Invader Zim. You guys can definitely tell, like, we could go even more about this because this show was incredible. And, like, it really brought a lot of silly elements and added, like, a lot of alien humor to a lot of it, too. So with that said, I'm going to say Zim was a great show. I think that it should definitely get a reboot, if not with a more mature audience. What's your final take, Jordan or Clayton?
I would say, if you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. Go watch the first episode, then go watch the chicken foot episode, and just go watch the whole thing of marathon. It's all on Hulu right now if you wanted to go watch it, streaming service wise. But it's a fantastic show, one of my top 10 favorite animated shows of all time, and I honestly love it. How about you, Duct Tape?
Invader Zim was easily one of the best TV shows on Nickelodeon at the time. And if you really want to continue with the story, go read the comic. It should still be coming out.
All right, so with everything else said, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys, and stay tuned for more of our Halloween-themed podcast for the month of October. And for our hashtag of the day, I have hashtag Bring Zim Back.
Hashtag with taquitos.